This is Find Your Dream Job, the podcast that helps you get hired, have the career you want, and make a difference in life. I'm your host, Mac Pritchard. I'm also the founder of Mac's List. It's a job board in the Pacific Northwest that helps you find a fulfilling career. Every Wednesday, I talk to a different expert about the tools you need to get the work you want. Referrals matter in hiring, and one of the best ways to make these connections is through industry groups. Cheryl Ferguson joins us to talk about how to make the most of your professional association. She's a coach who works with people who want a better career. Previously, Cheryl was a recruiter for more than 25 years, and she joins us from Seattle, Washington. Let's get going, Cheryl. We're talking about professional associations. Why should you join a professional association if you're looking for a new job or thinking about a career change?
Well, the best reason is professional industry associations are all about building and developing a community of people who have a shared industry experience. All right, so they're all in this industry. And what you want to do, what their goal is to help their members become even more successful or be successful throughout their career. Not only when they're looking for a job. So how do they do that? Well, you can attend at both the national and the local chapter levels. You can attend educational meetings. You can volunteer for committee assignments. You can develop leadership skills. You can get that industry certification you need to take your career to the next level.
Okay. So that's what the associations are, and
that's what they
different
are.
ways you can get involved. Cheryl, in your experience, who tends to get involved in professional associations?
Well, these are the people who understand the value of proactively engaging and connecting with others in their industry. And they understand that it's not a one and done. They understand that it happens over time. So that what you're going to learn very quickly is that you're going to meet a group of people that you can share ideas and tips with, and that you can get advice from or give advice to. It's a two-way street.
In your experience, what might stop someone from joining their professional group?
Well, the number one reason I hear most often is that it can be overwhelming to walk into a room of people that you don't know for the first time. That's overwhelming for most everybody. So guess what? You're in great company, all right? So that's one of the biggest reasons. Now, what people don't tell you, and I wish they'd tell you more about, is after attending 3 or 4 of those meetings, that anxiety tends to dissipate and sometimes even disappear, all right? Completely in some cases. So that by the end of the year, you are going to be walking confidently into a room, introducing yourself to others, saying hi to people that you've met over the course of the year. It's going to be a very warm and welcoming intro for you.
Sometimes, depending on the industry, there might be 2, 3, or even 4 different groups in your field. How do you figure out which one is right for you?
3 or 4 different groups? How do you go about finding the professional association that's right for you?
Well, in Portland, Oregon, for example, where I'm based, there's an American Marketing Association chapter. There's a group for the Public Relations Society of America. There's a group for communicators who work in nonprofits. If you are working in communications, marketing, advertising, how do you figure out which of those groups might best serve your professional needs and where you could make the most difference?
That's a great question, Mac. And here's what I've seen work. Number 1, first thing you want to do is make it easy on yourself. Talk to your current boss, your manager, colleague, find out where they belong. Take a look at your company website, the leadership, find out where those people have gone. The other thing is, once you've narrowed it down to 2 or 3, when you want to go onto the website and you want to understand the mission, the vision, the values, to make sure that it matches up with what you're looking for. Are these your people? Are these the people who want to talk to about the work that you do and the work that you want to do? Those websites are just chock full of information, including meeting times and dates. That's a great way to find out more about each of those associations. And then what I'd suggest, depending upon how big your city is, you can go to 3 consecutive meetings. You want to get a flavor of what each meeting is like and get a sense of what the meeting is like. See how it feels for you. All right. If you live in a big city, you can also go to a different chapter. For instance, I could go to a Seattle chapter and a Bellevue chapter. Get a sense of what's right for you. Attend 3 or 4 before you're going all in.
So you're shopping around and you're seeing what's available in the market. What expectations should you have, both as you do this shopping, Cheryl, and when you decide to become a member?
Well, you want to get into the habit and practice of going to the meetings consistently and regularly, so that you get to know the people that are there and they get to know you. Again, it's not a one and done. It's not only when you need a job. Show up regularly and expect to contribute. That takes a lot of the anxiety away, all right? You have valuable knowledge. You want to be able to share that. So yes, it's okay to ask for things, advice, tips, but also just be prepared that someone's going to ask you some questions and you have that information right there.
You mentioned a moment ago that it's natural to feel nervous walking into a room of strangers when you go to the first or maybe second or third meeting. How can you make that experience easier? What have you seen work for the people you coach?
Something called the buddy system. My friend Maddie and I were talking about this the other day. If it absolutely scares you silly, then enlist one of your colleagues or a friend to go with you, but put some boundaries there. All right. So what you want to do is, it's okay to show up together. It's okay to do small talk together, but then separate. Go to other parts of the room, sit at different tables so that the both of you get to meet different people. And then you have something to talk about after you come back about the people that you met and how much you enjoyed it, that kind of thing. So I would go with the buddy system. Makes it easier to come in.
Yeah. So that's what you might do in the beginning. And as you consistently go to events, there are often speakers. I know one of your tips for getting the most out of a professional group is to go up after a speaker finishes and introduce yourself to the person. What stops people from doing that, Cheryl, and what are the benefits of doing it?
Well, I don't know exactly what stops people. I can guess. But once they listen to this interview, Mac, that was a great question. All right. Once they do that, it makes perfect sense because you're going up and you're thanking them. You obviously went there because you were interested in this topic. You can go up, thank them for that, share what you've learned, and then share what it is you're going to take back and put in at your company. No one does this. It's an easy way for you to distinguish yourself, and it's an easy way for you to connect with the speaker. They appreciate that too because, it's nerve-wracking sometimes to speak in front of a group of people. So they appreciate that what they've presented is helpful to you.
I want to emphasize your point here because both as a speaker and talking to other speakers, often people will tell me, and I've experienced this as well, it's as if there's a force field around you and people don't approach you and there's an opportunity and people do expect to be approached to make a connection, and you never know where it might lead, do you, Cheryl?
That's exactly right. And that might go to a coffee. It's something that helps them feel comfortable. So if you thought you were uncomfortable walking in, this makes them feel comfortable, And again, what they did, how they prepared, that makes them feel confident in what they delivered.
All right. Well, let's pause here. I want to take a break. And when we come back, let's talk more about how a professional association can help you in your job search and career. And I recognize it's not just about job hunting, but there are some immediate benefits. So stay with us. When we return, Cheryl Ferguson will continue to share her advice on how to make the most of your professional association. We're back in the Max List studio. I'm talking with Cheryl Ferguson. She's a coach who works with professionals that want a better career. Previously, Cheryl was a recruiter for more than 25 years, and she joins us from Seattle, Washington. Now, Cheryl, before the break, we were talking about how to make the most of your professional association. And in the first segment, we talked about what groups are out there, how they work, who's attracted to them, what might stop people from joining a group, and what to do and how to get involved, particularly at your first meeting. And I loved your tip about approaching speakers. I know another way you recommend people get involved is to volunteer. And you touched on this in the first segment, but why is it important to volunteer? How is that going to help you not only with your professional growth, but with a job search or your career?
When you volunteer for one of the committee chairs at an association, the first thing it does is increase your visibility to everybody in the industry at that location. And also, if people come and visit that particular website, they are going to see who you are and the role that you're playing. So that automatically says, I am someone who wants to contribute. Here's the kind of work that I do. Here's how it relates to the job that I have. So volunteering gives you credibility, increases your visibility in an organization, and you're a go-to person. So if I'm a member and I need a question answered, I recognize you as the go-to person at this organization. So that's volunteering as a committee member. You have to be a member of an association in order to handle those volunteer roles. They typically last for a year, so you want to make sure you can make the time commitment for that role, because no one wants to volunteer that doesn't follow through.
And so there are opportunities like chairing a committee or even serving on a board that do require a commitment of a year or more. But there are also short-term opportunities. It doesn't have to be a life sentence. You could volunteer for an event, couldn't you?
You can volunteer for an event, and guess what? Helping out an event. Who among us hasn't taken those big boxes struggling up the stairs? You see someone, you say, hey, can I help up with that? Can I help you sign people in? Do you need what I call the unofficial greeter? Sometimes those locations of the meetings are a little out of the way. You have to do a little weaving and navigating. So offer to greet people as they come in the door. Make sure they get to the right space.
And working at the registration desk is another opportunity like that. You get to meet a lot of people when you do that.
Absolutely. You get to meet a lot of people. And when you walk in the door, by the way, so that's if you're volunteering, but also you should look at the registration table when you walk in the door, because you're going to get a sense of who's attending the meeting. And if it's someone you've always wanted to meet, guess what? There's your opportunity to step up and do so. So I like volunteering. Volunteering to be a speaker. We already talked a little bit about a speaker, either as the sole speaker or part of a panel. Great way to develop your career.
And why is that, Cheryl? Why does speaking grow your career?
Because people see you as an expert on a topic that you want to be known for. They see you as that expert. A room full of people sees you. That's important.
And what difference does that make in your career and later when you do a job search?
Well, guess what? There are going to be hiring managers at those meetings. So those are people that might see you and say, maybe I want to hire that person. There are going to be corporate recruiters and agency recruiters who have positions that they have open, if not now, in the future. And they are going to say, great, you know what? I want to make sure I stay in touch with this person so that when a position comes up, already know where to go. They've spent time at these meetings. You've gotten to know you. They've gotten to know you. And when the time comes for a job search, it's a nice warm introduction because they've already seen you, gotten to know you at these meetings, seen you speak.
Well, let's talk more about that. So there are two scenarios that are possible. One is you've been involved in your professional group for some time and you're getting ready to do a job search. And the other is you're doing a search and you're thinking about getting involved in a group. Let's talk about the first one. So how can you, in a professional way, leverage the connections and relationships that you've made when you're looking for work with the people that you've met through a professional group?
Real simple way. I heard you speak. I'm interested in this topic. I'd like to learn more. And you need to say that with some integrity, Matt. Again, it's not hitting somebody up for a job. If you've got the background that people want, that should happen very naturally. It's going to very naturally evolve in that situation. All right. The other way is just to let people know who you are. You have a life outside of your work. I can't tell you how many discussions I have about pickleball now. You see what you have in common. You go and play together. You do other things that just really cement the relationship over time.
So you see a position at an organization where you want to work, or you're excited about working at a company. Maybe there's not a specific job. And you know that someone you've met through the association, perhaps you volunteered together, either knows about that job or is inside that organization. What's the best way to approach them, Cheryl?
Well, I'm a direct person, Mac, but it works. All right. Listen, I'm very interested in your organization. I know that there's nothing for me now, but I'd be interested. I see you've worked there for a while. I'd be interested in learning more. Is it possible for us to grab a coffee or go to lunch? And by the way, if you ask, then you pay for that. So that's a very normal way. People expect it. Okay. So it shouldn't be unexpected when you make that ask.
And how is that going to help you having that connection and that relationship when a job either opens up or you're competing for an interview for that position?
Well, you've already taken the time to get to know the person and know the company. All right. So you've already taken that. It's a much warmer. You understand what's important so that when you do interview, you are a more informed candidate. In other words, yes, you want to do your research on the company. Absolutely. And you've taken it a step further. You've already talked to people who work there and understand what they like about working there.
What difference can those kinds of connections make in hiring decisions?
Well, if people are talking about how they met you, which is one of the questions that sometimes people, behind the scenes at companies say, well, how did you meet this person? Well, they're a member of this association and I see them regularly. We've chatted about the things that we have in common behind the, not only professionally, but personally. I've seen that person speak. So you already familiarize, or I guess the term these days is socialize your meeting with the hiring manager. And so that gives them some information. And let's just go back to the pickleball example because it's fun. Maybe the hiring manager plays pickleball. So that's a real nice, easy, smooth intro into an initial conversation. I used to have a hiring manager who his first question was all about, because he was a basketball guy in school, he would sit down with the candidates and talk to them about basketball. So you see, you have a common connection, a way that you can find something to talk about together.
Okay. Well, we're almost out of time, Cheryl, but I do want to ask you, is there a mistake? Are there any common mistakes you encourage audience members to avoid when trying to leverage their professional association membership and when they're looking for work?
The biggest mistake bar none, the biggest mistake people make is to show up only when they are looking for a job. And then once they find the job, they never attend another meeting. Professional associations are all about building and developing the community. They would like you to stay. They want to bring you along. So do not just show up when you're looking for a job. It feels awkward for you because it is awkward. Take the time to develop the relationship, and you'll be surprised at some of the lifelong friendships you end up making as well.
Oh, terrific. Well, thanks so much, Cheryl. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Now, tell us what's next for you.
Well, Mac, I'm always interested in chatting with people who want to know more about coaching, so people are absolutely welcome to get in touch with me. It's a complimentary 30-minute conversation, and I practice what I preach. So I am part of an association, and I go to the meetings regularly, and so all the things that I'm talking about today, I've seen work. And so I would encourage people to really take a deep dive into what associations work for them.
Terrific. Well, I know that our audience can learn more about you and your services by visiting your website. That URL is CherylTheCareerCoach.com. That's Cheryl with a C. And you also invite listeners and viewers to connect with you on LinkedIn. When you do reach out to Cheryl on LinkedIn, please mention you saw or heard her on Find Your Dream Job. Now, Cheryl, given all the great advice you've shared today, what's the one thing you want a listener or a viewer to remember about how to make the most of your professional association?
Show up consistently. And remember, you have knowledge that people need. So share. That takes some of the anxiety away. Show up to learn. Show up to see who's there.
Thank you for listening to Find Your Dream Job. You can support our show and help others find it by leaving a review and rating on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Have a question or a suggestion? Email me at mac@maxlist.org or connect with me on LinkedIn. To make sure you never miss an episode, sign up for our free weekly newsletter at maxlist.org/podcasts. This show is produced by MaxList. Susan Thornton Huff schedules our guests and writes our newsletter. Lisa Kislin-Barry Anderson manages our social media and creates our transcripts. Our sound engineer and editor is Megan Hattie Stoll. Our music is by Freddie Trujillo. This is Mac Pritchard. See you next week.